The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Oh, we could fly.
This is your summer. That means Six Flags and the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola. We're talking thrilling coasters, delicious burgers, real moments together, and this. Coke is summer refreshment when you need it most, so you can hop on another ride. This is your summer. Six Flags and Coca-Cola. Come make it yours. Visit sixflags.com/Coke to save up to $20 off passes, plus daily tickets starting at $44.99.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron. We're back getting high on the Weedsman.
Yeah. It's kind of what we do here.
Dead heat of the middle of fucking summer.
My AC officially can't keep up with the fucking humidity.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Pretty rough. You got to super cool that shit, man. That's what everyone's talking about this year. Or pre-cooling. Sometimes they call it pre-cooling.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It means you drop that shit down as low as you can go. Like 60 degrees is what they recommend at night. So at night when it's a little cooler and the sun's not beating down on your house, you fucking chill the fucking shit out of your house, pull your covers up, and then you enjoy a nice cool morning, set your fucking thermostat for 74, and it might be the afternoon before it actually like kicks in your AC. So it's basically run your AC most when it's when it doesn't have to work as hard, right? At night, leave all that chilled air in there, and then your AC isn't working so hard during the day.
Gonna try that tonight.
I'm gonna try. I'm all about it because really you should be sleeping in a cold environment. I can't, like, I can sleep in a hot environment, but like, I don't know. It's hot and stuffy that I can't sleep in, right?
Yeah.
I can sleep in a cold room or I can sleep in a hot room with the windows open.
Yes.
And like a little bit of a breeze. But if it's going to be like 70 something and no breeze, I feel like I'm fucking suffocating in that room.
No, I'm with you. Like I had to pop the windows the other day. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It sucks in here.
So, what big news for fans of space, I guess? Shouldn't we all be fans of space? I guess there's some people on this planet that are just like, who gives a fuck?
We're all floating in space.
But, yeah, I mean, have you seen the images from the James Webb telescope?
I have not.
Do you know what this is?
I do.
Yeah, so this is the telescope that it's like a more powerful Hubble. But not only that, they fucking yeeted that thing out past the solar system.
They find Tatooine?
They did not find it yet, but there's a lot to look through. This is like data overload.
But Alderaan. No, wait, Alderaan's gone.
This is like Where's Waldo Galaxy style for finding aliens. Like somewhere in there's an alien waving at us. We just haven't seen it yet in the image.
Right. It's flipping us off.
Well, what's crazy, and you know, I forget that, like, again, not everyone's into space or science. Not that I'm like a scientist. I just am interested in science. But not everyone's as hip to some of these concepts, even though I'm like, what? Everyone's seen Interstellar, right? Can't everybody understand now how gravity can bend time and space? People are really thrown by the idea that, like, these images that we're seeing is light from millions of years ago. Like, we're seeing back in time, literally.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because that light takes so long.
It's just getting
to get
to us.
It's not what's happening now. It's what was happening then. We're seeing what was happening. You know, we can still observe it, but we can never get real-time information.
It's in the past, like
Yeah.
Dracula and broadcast television.
All we can ever see is the past. So really, I mean, the idea that better imaging would help us. I mean, maybe it would show us, maybe we'd actually get to see a planet. This might be the first time that we not only see, because we've seen images of suns, right? And we know from other data that there's planets around them and that some of them might be in the so-called Goldilocks zone, but we can't see it. But with this imaging technology, we might actually be able to see not only a sun, but a planet revolving around it that could be another home or a home for life like us.
And since it's the past, we could still see Alderaan.
Yeah,
Before
that's
it
right.
got blown
it's a
up.
long time ago.
Yes.
Because we could see not only far, far away, but a long time ago.
Yes.
At the same time. You're absolutely right. So somewhere out there, that fucking Alderaan, if we catch it, we might be able to catch it blowing up. But that's the thing. Like, what do you do with that visual information, though, right? You know that a planet was there 1 million years ago. Like, I don't know. What's the math on it?
Right.
Like, how many light years? Well, I guess if you say, like, oh, it's 2 billion light years away, right? That literally means you're seeing 2 billion years in the past. So what do you do with that information? Is that planet even still there? If you detected life on it with your telescope.
How old's the Earth? 4 billion?
I want to say, yeah, I don't know. Look it up. Hey, Siri, how old's the Earth?
You did what I was going to do.
The answer I found is 4.5 billion years.
Hey, good. Look at that.
All right.
4.5 billion years ago.
So we're definitely... So, like, we're seeing pre-dinosaurs.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, if something is like... Well, I mean, even like 4 million years, 4 million light years away would mean that, if there was life like ours, we wouldn't even see it yet if they were on the same cycle. But what it really tells us, it's not that it's going to help us find, per se, other life. It's going to tell us a lot more about the universe. But I think it's going to help people with the concept that there has to be something else out there, right? I mean, just look at how dense these photos are that we're seeing of all these swirling fucking galaxies. You're telling me there's nothing else out there?
It is hubristic and arrogant to think that we are the only spot in this infinite universe where life collected. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying there's no galaxy with nothing like a sun. There's no other rock where conditions for life.
Well, it's like the Star Trekification of alien races. Like, oh, they're all just like us, but they've got some funny ridge on their nose, right?
Or green.
And they breathe the same oxygen. They live on hospitable planets.
And either way...
we might need to bring a jacket at best, but we can step down on their planet. And
either way, Shatner's having sex with them.
Just the law of averages on this, like, not only would there be other life, but there would be multiple different forms of life that we wouldn't even recognize as life. It probably wouldn't even register to us immediately as intelligent life, because it wouldn't be doing the things that we would think intelligent life would be doing, like, I don't know, waving at us, trying to signal, maybe doing something aggressive, trying to eat us, zapping us with lasers.
How do we know oxygen wouldn't kill them?
Yeah, how do we know some of these clouds that we're seeing in this new telescope isn't actually intelligent life?
Like the clouds in Mario that follow you.
Are those sentient? Like, they don't act on their own, do they?
They had smiley faces on them.
They had smiley faces on them, yes. But the only ones that moved were the ones that had the Koopa guy in them that would throw the shits at you. Lakitu, yes. So they were Lakitu piloted, but on their own they didn't move at all, right?
They all had smiley faces, right?
Yeah. And if you knocked Lakitu out of it, it would stop moving. So no. At best, I think it might be AI assisted. It's like the Tesla of its day. It's like a smart car.
Remember the move where you had to use Lakitu to get into the warp zone? You had to bounce off of him.
Yeah, that's
hop
right.
Over the flag.
Well, you didn't bounce over him. There was
You
one
had to bounce off of him. You had to use him as a...
You could ride his cloud car, right? So there's one where you bounce Lakitu out of it, you'd get in his cloud car, and you'd have just enough time to get over to this, like, secret warp zone where they were like... you'd have to
jump out of the cloud car.
Well, eventually it would like disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It had a limited life. Boy, that's the technology that we need. I want clouds just to come down and take me places and then just disappear. Somewhere, one of these planets out there has cloud cars.
Be rather wet.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you're right. We don't think about how wet clouds are.
It literally is water vapor.
Here's your high on thought for the day. You know, we don't think about how wet clouds are.
The things you've seen in TV and movies, if you actually tried to stand on a cloud, you would fall right through it.
Right. We always see fucking angels standing on these shits. I don't know, you think like you could just put a stick up there and whip it up like cotton candy.
No.
Like, oh, I wonder what a cloud tastes like. It's like rain.
Yeah, it's fucking moisture.
Yeah.
It is a cloud of water vapor.
There was speaking of the middle of July in Michigan, there was a tornado warning last night.
Where?
Oh, where I was in Oak Park.
See, I was waiting last night for storms. They must have.
So you felt it, like the pressure.
It never
differential.
happened.
Right? But you felt the conditions.
Oh yeah, it was windy. I was loving the breeze coming in my room.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it went still.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
It must have been past. I was up to like 10. It was still windy at 10.
Yeah, it was late. It was about 10:30, 11. It like went dead still, and then the siren started. It actually touched down in a couple places in Michigan.
Oh no.
We don't get as many tornadoes, though. I mean, I know weather is
There had
crazy
to be
all over the
no thunder and lightning here. Because I'm pretty sensitive to that when I sleep.
All I saw, I stood outside and watched some heat lightning up in the sky for a while, but no thunder. I got an Apple Watch.
Oh, I noticed that.
Yeah. I decided to finally do it. I was
now,
hesitant.
Do you got the watch that just tethers to your phone, or the one that can be independent?
I do not have a separate. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't have. I can't take a SIM card or anything.
Because I told you, I'm interested in a watch when it can replace my phone. If it's just a tether to my phone, I am not interested.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted. I mean, I can like download podcasts to it and Bluetooth my headphones to it and go for a walk without my phone, but it has no cellular service of its own.
Do they have watches that do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not that much more to get the LTE version, but then you also have to put it on your plan. You have to register it like another phone, even though it uses the same phone number. It'll have its own unique phone number for billing purposes. So you will have to pay for another line to use it.
So give me the watch, I can leave it. Give me where I can leave my phone at home.
Yeah. What I'm unclear on, like, I guess that would be pretty sweet to be able to, like, either one would ring and you can choose whether you want to take your watch out.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, I forgot my phone, it's okay, I got my watch.
Right. And it would have Apple Pay on it and everything.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, so yeah, my Wi-Fi version does. Although I tried,
the people I know that have those love them.
I tried using it, and it said, "Look at your phone for instructions," and there were no instructions on the phone. I was like, "Why am I whipping up my phone?" I thought the watch was
right.
But anyway, so I just used my phone to pay for it. But so far, like, I have thin wrists, right? And and I also sometimes have problems with carpal tunnel syndrome. My wrists will like swell up. And both of those things made me nervous. I was like, I'm just not a watch guy. But I actually like it. Like when I take it off, I miss it. It feels good. I feel also like an adult. You know? You look at your watch. Because it's like, think about like looking at your watch is a motion that everybody knows. Even I've never really worn a watch. But I still might go, oh yeah, what time is it? And I'm looking at my wrist like I have a watch on. So, but yeah, I like the fitness tracker stuff. I get to log all my bike rides and yoga sessions and all that dumb shit. But it actually, it makes a difference because I am goal driven and bad at keeping track of stuff. So I need an app. If I'm going to be goal driven, I need an app to tell me what my goal is.
The health app still tells you all that stuff.
Yeah, but it doesn't have your heart rate and everything, so it can't properly...
It's not on your wrist.
It can't properly calculate how many calories
you're burning
and all that. Yeah. And I can when I'm going for a bike ride or something like that, or I'm working out and I just want to skip some commercials on a podcast or skip to the next track, I don't have to whip my phone out. I can just real quick pop.
Did you know you can say, "Hey Siri, fast forward"?
Yeah, but it's kind of weird to do that at the gym a lot.
Yeah, fair. Hey Siri, turn it up.
Hey Siri, take a picture of that girl with the tight yoga pants. Oh, no, Siri, I was joking.
Yoga pants from the web.
Oh.
Have a look.
Boy, she came through though.
Wow.
There's some girls sporting some ass and some tight yoga pants.
So I figured you'd get ads for like Lululemon.
I'm going to now.
Right.
Ruined it. I wouldn't have paid $400 for it, but I bought this is a 6, and it was what do they call it, a refurbished model.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like $200. So I'm like, if I'm looking at Fitbits, which are like $160, why wouldn't I get the one that's compatible with all my other shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about refurb stuff.
Yeah.
Refurb saves you so much money.
And
big deal, you get last year's. Ooh.
Right. And maybe it's got like, if I catch this in the sunlight, I'll see the couple of scratches at the top, but whatever. Otherwise, I don't even
think you did
notice
them.
it.
Oh, whatever.
Right. I would have done that anyway.
Yeah.
I saw the latest Marvel movie.
Which one's that?
This is Thor: Love and Thunder.
What'd you think?
So this one's got your girl in it with her pumped up arms.
Man, she looks weird.
Sporting the
pumped
armor.
up.
Yeah. Too butch for you. It was whatever. It's a very inconsequential Marvel movie, which
And the reviews on it very mixed.
yeah, I think it's partly like Marvel has become a victim of its own success, right? Because all these movies that they had, especially everything leading up to the big Infinity War double movie thing, is so epic and so world ending. And when the stories like Love and Thunder, it ties into the rest of the universe, but not in ways that are essential to the story. It's only because last time we saw Thor, he was hanging out with Guardians of the Galaxy. So we pick up from there, but he immediately branches out on his own for his own Thor solo adventure, which I'm pretty sure he says exactly that, like, time for a Thor solo adventure.
All right, Rocket. See you later.
Yeah, it's just a Thor story. It doesn't need to carry the weight. It doesn't need to introduce any new characters that are going to have their own movies or television series or anything like that. Spoilers a little bit, but the Jane Foster story begins and ends. It's actually a little truncated, I thought, but there's no continuation of her as Thor. Like, she becomes Thor near the beginning of it, and then she's like, okay, bye, at the end of it. So, yeah, it just doesn't have to do what a lot of other Marvel movies have to do, which not only tell a decent story where your main character overcomes some sort of struggle or something like that, but also move all these other puzzle pieces of stories into place so we can bring this guy in who's got to be in this movie, and this is going to cross over with that, and you got to bring this villain in because he's going to come back in 3 years, and all this moving around of chess pieces. And I don't know, I guess it just feels light. It just feels inconsequential. But that doesn't.
If this movie's never made, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not essential to the bigger picture. But that being said, I had fun. I thought the last Thor movie, the Ragnarok one, was more fun, but it was also more bloated. It had a whole lot more going on. It was a longer movie. And when I thought about the movie and just the like, when I feel a little lost in a movie, I go, okay, do I understand these characters' motivations? And yeah, that was actually more well laid out than most Marvel movies. It's just the character's motivation was to really seek his new family, right? Thor, his mother dies in the second movie. His father dies in the third movie. His brother dies in all three and comes back and dies and comes back.
Damn.
He doesn't his home has been relocated because I'm forgetting the name of where Thor's fucking from.
Asgard.
Yeah, Asgard essentially has to be relocated to Earth, right? And when that happens, Thor kind of goes off on his own adventures. So he's lost. He's wandering. He's been out drifting for a while and enjoying the bachelor life, and even getting a bit of a gut and playing some video games and shit like that. And now he's decided, okay, it's time to get my shit together, settle down again, and that's what he's looking to do. Now, of course, there's also some weirdo trying to kill him because he's a god, and he just hates gods apparently. I guess that's the biggest fault of the movie is the villain. Actually understanding and caring about the villain's motivation. And I don't know. But that being said, Christian Bale makes a very fun villain.
Oh, he's in the Marvel Universe now?
Yeah.
Gotta get paid.
Yeah. I took my kids to see it, and I was like, you recognize the villain? They're like, no. And I was like, you guys...
Oh, good for you!
What I did is the meme from American Psycho where he's got the clear jacket on and he's pointing at the hi-fi, like, check that out. It's like, what is it, Pointer Sisters or some shit?
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news?
Yeah, Huey Lewis in the news. Like, check out that hi-fi, like right before he whacks that guy with the axe. And but they both know that movie. Not only have they seen American Psycho, they know all the memes too. So yeah, I don't know. It's very fun. A little too light, but we're seeing. Had some funny moments, but I think most of the humor was maybe targeted a little at a lower age bracket than me, lower than mid-40s, which is probably what most movies should shoot for. I'm not blaming them on that one. Not enough old man jokes. Actually, the funniest joke in there, I thought, was when they're planning their big mission and Thor is doing his speech to rouse everybody and gather them to the cause, and somebody's making a lot of noise, taking notes in the background, and he goes, "What is that noise?" And someone says, "He's taking minutes," and Thor goes, "Precious minutes we can't afford to lose."
A Thor dad joke.
Yes. Taika Waititi got a dad joke in there for me. It's kind of the age of the old man right now, especially on TV shows.
Really?
Well, you got The Old Man, which is on
Jeff
Hulu.
Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, which I think is just incredible. It's a story that manages to evolve with each episode. And not that it becomes drastically different, but it just is always kind of throwing you for a loop about, okay, I thought I understood what kind of story we're talking about, and it just keeps getting deeper and more tangled. And there's very few side characters in it, or inconsequential characters that are just there to move the plot forward or to have something happen to them so that there's motivation for your main character. It's just got one of the most solid casts in forever. Aaliyah Shawkat, who is maybe in Arrested Development, is in it. This is the first time I've seen her do like a real serious drama role, and she brings it. John Lithgow is kind of playing opposite of Jeff Bridges in this, and it's just phenomenal. It starts out as kind of nothing that we haven't seen before. Often, it seems more and more lately, we see these stories of the guy who has to come out and do one more thing. They bring him out just when he thought he was out, they bring him back in.
Drag me back in.
Yeah, or John Wick. Like, They said you were retired, and he's like, yeah, I thought I was retired too, but now I have to kill people because they fucked with my car and my dog, or Red was a good example of that. A pretty decent movie that was adapted from a comic book that they went a little further with that one than the book does. The book keeps it real simple, but yeah, it's a guy who used to work for the CIA. I don't want to give too much about it away because this really is, it's not that they're spoilers, it's that the reveal of the story is so well done. The way they peel the onion back. That's why I don't want to give away much about it, but he's kind of in hiding, Jeff Bridges' character is, and somebody finds him. You know, he comes home to find a guy with a gun with a silencer on it in his house. So clearly he's been found out. And then everything just unravels from there.
And it tells you the story of leading up to the guy in his house.
Yeah, it starts filling in the backstory. It does some of the best casting that I've seen in terms of, instead of doing what like Marvel does now or Star Wars or all this Disney stuff, they just de-age you. If they want to show somebody in the past, we'll just kind of make the smooth finish on you. And
right.
Some Photoshop.
Like when they tried to make De Niro like 40,
right?
But they could make his body not 40.
Yeah, he's okay. You made him 40 with a major back injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so instead they went the traditional route and just cast somebody for the younger version. And now this is a pretty big gap, too. I mean, Jeff Bridges is, he's got to be
70-something.
So, yeah. And they're talking about stuff that happened in his, like, I don't know, it looks like late 20s, early 30s at best.
Gotcha.
So it's actually the guy who plays Tony Soprano's dad in that movie that came out.
I did not see it.
Yeah, it was all right. It was decent.
The Many Saints of Newark.
Yeah. That guy is in it.
They needed terms of endearment, Jeff Bridges, but he is long gone.
He plays a young Jeff Bridges, and it's pretty uncanny. They even get somebody to play a young John Lithgow, which does a pretty nice job too. That show's fun. I think that's a Hulu show? Amazon Prime has The Outer Range, or maybe it's just called Outer Range. So this is Josh Brolin. He plays a rancher, and it's kind of like a Yellowstone. I don't know if you watch any Yellowstone or know what it's about, but it's kind of like that. It's, this high drama family type of thing. Like, for some reason, land is inherited, just like super important to these people, and they fight over it a lot. But it's also got this like sci-fi element tied into it.
How so?
Well, because Josh Brolin's character goes out to his field one morning and just kind of zones out for a minute and then comes back to find that, like, 2 hours is missing. Right? His watch says it's 8 a.m. The clock on the wall says it's 10 a.m. And then later when he goes out to the same
Flight of the
field,
Navigator?
Later when he goes out to the same field, there's a big hole in the ground. But not just a hole in the ground like something fell out of the sky. It's perfectly even, perfectly circle, no bottom to it, hole.
Does he fall in the hole?
He does.
What happened?
He throws. He
keeps falling.
He throws shit in the hole. Dead bodies get thrown in the hole. Live bodies get thrown in the hole. Quite a bit of things get thrown in the hole.
What's in the hole?
We're not really sure yet. Like some sort of time travel? It seems to be that there's some sort of mineral in the ground that can control time. That's another one that has a great cast with great casting decisions as far as casting a family and people who actually look like they have the same DNA and not just get somebody.
Baby, get comfortable. Relax. It's a little hot for that cheerleader outfit, don't you think? You think your dirty socks can stop me? Well, they are making me dizzy.
Is he getting it? What is going on in this?
I think this is a Treehouse of Horrors. And he's going to a bottomless pit. It says bottomless pit. Arrow pointing at it.
Hi, darling.
Arrivederci, Vito.
I was
Gangster.
a fool to think
Those
anyone
body.
would want nude photos of Whoopi Goldberg. What the?
the bottomless pit throws it back.
Threw him back.
That?
I was looking for the Family Guy clip with the bottomless pit. The guy, and it shows him like an hour later. Still floating, not screaming anymore.
Yeah. I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about that because I haven't seen it, but I was thinking about that as far as falling down a bottomless pit. Like,
Do you get bored?
yeah, you would eventually, right?
You're just falling. Check
you
your
would-
watch.
But you would have to, you would have to be dropped straight down the center of it, right? Because you got to figure if you got any kind of English on your trajectory, at some point you're going to smack aside, right? And then it's going to be a long, you're going to bounce off of one side, and then 5 days later you're going to bounce off the other side.
It would be like Springfield Gorge.
Yeah, in between it's pretty relaxing, but oh god, here comes the side again, here comes the side. You're trying to run along it.
I won't jump anymore. I promise.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Thank
Oh, this has got
I love you too, son.
I know we bitch about the era where they just beat up on Homer, but
I do right.
the reason that era sucks is because they used to save it for special moments like
Like
this
this,
one,
yeah.
where they could not only drop him down a gorge, but then when the airlift him out, bounce his head off of every rock on the way
Yeah.
up,
The greatest
then
show of my life. I'm king of the world. Woohoo!
then have the ambulance who comes to get him crash into a tree and drop him into the gorge again.
So is this you falling in the bottomless pit?
Yes. Only be
Just keep
long
hitting
spaces in
things.
between, right? You could go days with nothing and then bam, ow!
That's right. But knocking his head
And
against it.
you wouldn't know because it would be perfect. It would be dark too. Oh, party foul. It's just the same sound effects too.
Right.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
A little sip of my delicious and refreshing Dr. Pepper there. Have you heard about the product placement conspiracy? You remember Sidney Powell?
I heard something about this.
She was the Trump lawyer who said release the Kraken. She had her videotaped deposition for the January 6th committee, and in it she had a can of Diet Dr. Pepper placed in front of her with the label clearly facing outward. Did her deposition and then took a big swig of it, full on knocked the head back. I'm draining this bad boy.
Did she get paid by Dr. Pepper?
I don't know. It's such a strange world that, normally I could definitively
Maybe.
say yes. There's no such thing as bad press, right?
Maybe she's trying to go viral.
Yeah. I think she's fishing for a campaign.
Right. Hey, I love your Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Wouldn't Dr. Pepper just love to be the face of the January 6th committee?
I'm sure so many soft drinks would love to be the official soft drink of the January 6th committee.
This Toadie's testimony brought to you by the refreshing taste of Diet Dr. Pepper.
I mean,
You'll never even know that it's got cancer in it.
they'd finally be dropping all pretense.
Well, you know what show I really liked?
What's that?
I've only watched 3 episodes of this, but I found them all really super compelling. A show called The Bear, which I believe it's on Hulu, but I believe it's an FX show. And this is, remember Lip from Shameless?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Lip, kind of not playing too far from the Lip that we knew from Shameless. Sorry, I don't remember the actor's name, so obviously it's not Lip. But it's that dude, and he's in Chicago, and he is working at a restaurant, his brother's restaurant, right? So his brother owned this sub shop, and apparently sometime before this had killed himself and left the guy who they call the Bear. I don't know why his nickname's the Bear, but he gets left this sub shop. The main character, I'm gonna have to look this up. I can't just keep calling him these stupid names. His name's not Lip. Carmine, maybe it's short for Carmine. I don't know. So he was like the youngest brother, and he went off to become some frou-frou chef in New York. Working at places that we've only heard of, like the French Laundry, and has to come back to run the sub shop that's now been left to him. So, I mean, that part of it kind of writes itself. You can imagine the scenes where, like, he wants stuff done a certain way, and people are fucking, smoking cigarettes and picking their nose going, this is how we've always done it.
It's like fish out of water story.
Yeah, a bit of that. But, I mean, he's from Chicago. I don't know. It's really interesting. It's kind of fast-paced. It feels like working in a restaurant. I've worked in restaurants before. You've worked in restaurants before. It has that feel of it. I don't know if any of this stuff is accurate to like how kitchens are actually run.
True.
But it sucks me in. I love great lingo. I like the fact that they're all calling each other chef. They're all, doing behind, when they walk behind somebody or come around a corner.
Yeah, no, I'd have to, because it's, I'm sure, because I do it when there's radio studios and movies. I'm sure you do it whenever there's any sound engineering in movies. You just pick it apart. Like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You don't do that. Like,
right. But it's still, it creates a world that it brings you into. Right? It does its job as far as in that respect. It brings to mind something both of us can be like is wrong that we've seen that they do both in radio and in sound engineering in movies and TV. Nobody fucking does this. Nobody has one headphone on and one headphone off. Nobody fucking does that. You have to have them on. Yeah. It'll bleed through whatever you're recording. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're laying down like the world's greatest vocal track, and they've got one can off. That's not. No, your engineer would be like, put your headphones on or take them off and leave them off. Like,
yeah.
They're either on or off.
Yeah, and in a radio studio, it's you have one ear not covered. It's distractions. You can hear everything else that's going on. You're trying to not hear everything else that's going on. You're trying to hear what's going on over the air.
But whether this is like accurate or not to the life of the restaurants or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's fun to watch, but also it's a very complex show because there's a lot of conflict in it. Everybody's at each other all the time, but it's just because of how fast-paced the environment is that they're all working in.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, everybody gets to be an asshole in it, but then you also get to see the other side of them. Of like, oh, the brother, I thought he was just a fucking douchebag, but, like, he was just stressed out like everybody else is during the lunch rush.
There's a bunch of stations. God help you if you're the one that's behind.
Yeah.
When everyone else is caught up.
Well,
because everyone else is going to give you shit like, hey, fuckface, let's go. You're gumming up the works.
Yeah, so there's a lot of scenes like that. But it's fun. I mean, well, it's not fun. It's kind of a depressing show. I mean, his brother's dead. The family's finding out about, like, why he killed himself. Like, he was alcoholic, and he was more in debt than anybody knew. And, at its core, it's a family drama. It's not too far from Shameless, from what he was doing in Shameless, but much more grounded.
Gotcha.
Where everything on Shameless is like over the top.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I get it.
I get it. Frank's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Fiona's going to find herself in some shit where she's over her head, and then it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
Lip's a fuck up. We get it. Hey, sounds like he knows what pays the bills.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Chicago fuck up apparently is
right.
is his thing.
There's like Chicago. I don't know if you can play a guy from Chicago, you can probably get a lot of TV work. They're always putting TV shows in Chicago.
Well, if you need a big city in the Midwest, I mean, there you go. Market number 3. I I mean, it's just Detroit with stuff.
Yeah, it's just Detroit with more buildings that are occupied.
Detroit with things you can actually do downtown.
Yeah. It's just Detroit with public transportation that people actually want to take.
Right.
It's like all we want are like subways or an L or something, you know, anything that's like reliable, you know, so that people can get to work. And they just keep coming up with like, what about a people mover? No, we need a subway. What about a trolley? No.
The Q line is literally a straight people mover. It only goes downtown. It's only in downtown and midtown. Why did you build it up Woodward if the plan was to not have it go out to the sub? Like the last time I visited Chicago, I was able to take the L train from the airport to the L stop that was like a block away from my friend's house.
Yep.
And then when I left, guess who didn't have to drive me to the airport? My friend, because I took the fucking L to the fucking airport.
It's insane because all these quote-unquote public transportation solutions are just to save people on parking or from having to take their F-150 downtown. And it's not like there's a parking problem downtown. There's plenty of parking downtown Detroit. People just don't want to do it because they don't trust parking their vehicles there.
Like, the promise of the Q line was that eventually... remember when they, you know, you say whatever you're going to fucking say at the beginning of a project, right? But remember, it was going to go out to fucking Pontiac. It was going to start downtown, and it was going to go up Woodward out to Pontiac, and they were going to build on it from there.
Yep. And if it did, it would have been useful to get people to and from work.
It would have changed the fucking game.
Which is what the backbone of public transportation is. It's getting people to and from work.
Yes.
And not just the guy who has to work at a restaurant or work the midnight shift stocking at the Meijer. Everybody, all kinds of people going in and out of the city. So a lot of stories this week about plummeting weed prices. I haven't seen a whole lot. Well, I've seen some evidence of this. Seems like weed prices are going down somewhat.
What, are people smoking less weed?
No, I think that it's just a supply and demand thing, that people are growing too much of it. Metro Times here in Michigan has a story about plummeting marijuana prices, smoking out small cannabis businesses in Michigan. Prices for legal marijuana have hit all-time lows in Michigan, even as inflation is driving up the cost of most of other products.
I'm hearing nothing but good news.
Yeah. Oh boy, if we could see this kind of percentage decrease, we'd practically be getting it for free. I mean, we'd be wiping our ass with weed. The average price for an ounce of recreational flower dropped from more than $512 in January 2020 to $131 in May. A 74% decline.
Wow.
Now during that
so you can
time,
get like good shit for like $130.
Well, this is
the average, yeah.
Average price for an ounce of rec, yeah. During the same period, an ounce of medical flower dropped from $267 to $117, so less than half. So yeah, this is really just about too many growers. Actually, more than enough places to get it now. Although it is still like highly concentrated.
Well, because it's based on cities and their ordinances, sure. And it's funny. I have to drive out to Utica. Well, I don't have to. I prefer to.
Why, what's in Utica?
Dispensaries now.
Oh. Better than the ones closer by?
Well, then I don't have to drive to fucking Warren. I'm driving the same amount of time. If you ask me if I want to drive to Warren or Utica,
I'll go to Utica. Yeah.
Go to Utica.
If it's the same shot. Hell, if it's a couple miles more, I'll go to Utica.
Because too, I usually might have some stuff for work in the back of my truck. And guess what? I'm not worrying about somebody in Utica getting sticky fingers and pulling something out of my truck bed.
Right.
In Warren, I'm going, depends who's here.
Yeah. Because there's like a pawn shop 2 blocks away that they'll just run it over to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this thing does, but I bet you I can get $40 for it.
Yeah. Fucking M59 in Utica. Like, man, people, that's middle class. They got better shit to do. Or no shit to do. Because they're middle class people.
I don't know if you've ever been to a Loom Cannabis. Apparently that's a...
I've not, but I think I know what story you're going to read.
Oh, yeah, because they're shutting down 4 stores.
Yeah, when Portage, Sheboygan, Southfield, and what was it, Christmas?
Yes, Christmas was the other one. I'm glad you remember that because I'm now locked out from reading this.
Where the fuck is Christmas?
Near Frankfurt? I don't know. Where's Christmas? There's a Christmas and a house.
I want to say it's up north.
I would want to say that too.
Well, we're in Detroit. Everything's up north. Oh, god damn. It's in fucking the UP. It's like right there.
What am I looking at there?
Where Christmas is.
Oh, the blue is water?
Yeah, that's the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah.
Is that better?
You idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That sucks for...
So a couple up north ones, one out west.
That sucks for that dude.
They're right.
That dude who lives in Christmas is like, God damn it. That's where I was getting my weed.
Or maybe there's so many other dispensaries up in Christmas.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it can't be that many. There's probably 2. This town isn't big enough for the both of us.
See, now I'm going to Google dispensaries in Christmas, Michigan. There are 74. No. Nope, you're right. It's going to suck for that dude. It's called the best dispensary in town, hands down, according to its Google. But everything else is in Munising.
Yeah. Oh, with gas prices these days.
But they just pulled the whole, hey, we're closed. Like, open one day, closed today. Those 4 locations.
I don't know. I don't know how sudden it was, but it was just interesting to see that one of the obviously more successful dispensaries in Michigan shuttering stores so soon.
Well, they said in the article, like, it was a performance for those 4 stores. They said, by the way, we're opening up. They said, we're still opening stores. They opened up one this week.
Right.
They just said they weren't performing that well. Really? Well, I could see you lived out there in Portage. You do not have, you're not as close to the college kids as everybody thinks.
Yeah.
Like, Portage is more like the people who don't want to live around the college but still want to live in the Kalamazoo area.
I was surprised that there was a location in Southfield. I didn't think there were any dispensaries in Southfield. Because you have, like, Ferndale right there.
Yeah.
And that's where most of them are. That's where, like, Live Cannabis is. So anyway, this is a little too localized conversation for a global podcast such as we are.
Yes.
But to expand this is interesting that while Michigan is seeing a glut of cannabis to the point where it's driving costs down, California is still seeing the exact opposite problem. Way too high prices that are not seeing any indication of
I don't feel sorry for them.
And making it almost impossible for them to compete with the illegal market.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've talked about this often, but I call it basically a tourist industry market.
Like, aren't the regulations ridiculous to try to grow?
The regulations, the tax, the hoops that you have to jump through, all the red tape. So, yeah, it all adds to the bottom line, or detracts from the bottom line, I should say. But what they're trying in California is they're going to do a moratorium on the growers tax to try and get as an incentive to grow more, to hopefully get a situation like we're seeing in Michigan.
It's like, hey, dipshits, you have a state directly north of you that, I don't know if does Oregon still have the crazy glut of weed that they had? They're a blue state. Talk to them. Find out how they did it.
So that could certainly help, although it's not exactly this works generally in markets, right? I mean, if you want to drive the price of something down, get more supply of it, right? We see this with oil. When the supply went down and we couldn't get oil from Russia anymore, our prices on oil went way up. But also, we don't have much alternatives to oil. People have an alternative to this. So when the price goes up all the way to, the consumer just goes, fuck it. I don't need it. I can buy it from the guy around the corner.
Yeah.
They can get it from other places.
Right, or my friend grows it. Fuck it, I'll get it from him.
So a grower's tax, yeah, that could give you more supply, obviously. That could affect the prices of the wholesale prices of it. But unless that honestly finds its way to the consumer in a meaningful way, as far as a discount or a reduction in price, it's not going to make any difference.
So you're going to have 25% tax on it. Who gives a fuck?
And, it's worth pointing out that those numbers that we were looking at in Michigan, we've seen some drop in price lately on flour, on carts and stuff like that. Not huge, but like maybe a 10%, 15% decrease in price. That's still not going to cut it, I think, in the long term. Like, prices will eventually come down even lower than that if over the long term they actually want to remain competitive with the illegal market, because it's always going to be a threat. Right? It's not like you eradicate it and then, all the Mexicans pull up stakes and go, okay, can't sell our... No, it's homegrown, right? So the minute weed prices start going up again, that's when the people are going to start their home grow ops again.
Another thing I don't understand, if you want to kill the black market or sincerely hamper them, why the fuck does everything close at 9 or 10?
Yeah. Exactly.
You ever bought weed? People who are making the rules, especially when you're younger, you ain't buying it during the daylight.
No.
You ain't buying it during banker's hours.
Plus, if you stayed open late, people would probably buy more.
Yeah.
Just saying. They're already really stoned and they're going to come in and be like, yeah, I want all this shit.
I'm not saying you got to be with the bars, but hey, I bet you if there's Michigan dispensaries, if you can hear me out. Try being open till midnight.
Well, I wonder...
Let me know what happens. There's probably law. No, because...
Yeah, I was going to say it might be law, but we've never heard about any laws about
No, because there's some that are open till 10 and some that are open till 9.
Right.
It's another reason why I like going to Utica. That one's open till 10.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I went to Colorado... I mean, damn, it was almost 10 years ago. That's fucking crazy. Jeez. When I went to Colorado, there was like a dispensary in like downtown Denver that was open till midnight. Like everything else had to be closed by like 8. It's like, that's dumb.
Probably has, I bet you it has something to do with local regulations than the state law. There's probably restrictions on how late you can stay open if you want to operate within certain city limits. They're like, okay, you can have your weed as long as you go to bed at a reasonable time.
Right. I'm saying someone somewhere is finally going to be like, hey, we're the open late dispensary. Because I tried getting weed after hours before, and there's like delivery services, but it feels sketchy. It's like,
yeah.
Like, listen, you're coming across as sketchy. It's fucking after 10 o'clock. I don't think this is going to work. I will just wait till tomorrow and go to a dispensary.
In Pennsylvania, their governor just signed in a law that covers marijuana banking and insurance reform. So I'm kind of not really clear on how Pennsylvania on their own can tackle the banking issue, because it's a national thing, right? We're talking about federally insured banks. That's ultimately what we need. We need federally insured banks to participate in marijuana banking without fear of repercussion from the federal government. But pro-legalization, this is from the Marijuana Moment. They described Governor Tom Wolf as pro-legalization, saying that he approved the measure sent to his desk by the Republican-controlled legislature, which mirrors a standalone bill that previously advanced before being attached to a separate measure. Okay, cannabis banking reform passed the Senate earlier this year. What is it actually going to do?
Right.
The amendment included in the enacted measure will not immunize banks and insurers from potential federal repercussions, but it represents an interim step meant to signal to the financial sector that they at least won't face penalties under state law. Okay, I'm sure that's a relief, but that wasn't their major concern. Yeah, the IRS that they're really worried about, right?
If it's going to fuck with their FDIC coverage, the banks are probably going to be like, that's cool.
Yeah, no, they can't do it. They can't do it.
We're not,
They can't operate. States that a quote, financial institution authorized to engage in business in this Commonwealth may provide financial services to or for the benefit of a legitimate cannabis-related business and the business associates of a legitimate cannabis-related business. However, it also specifies the law will not require banks or insurers to provide services to medical marijuana businesses. So they can't make them, and they can't protect them from the big bad, from the IRS or the DEA or anybody else who wants to take a peek into their finances or threaten their FDIC status. I mean, I don't know.
Couldn't Hoyt?
Well, it's a signal, right? They describe it as a signal, and that's important in and of itself. But the only way that this could be actually functional is if somebody came up with a, I don't know, like alternate method for banking where I don't know who's taking on the big risk if it's not going to be the federal government.
Turn it all into crypto.
But let's say Elon Musk wants to dump billions of dollars into marijuana banking and just go state by state, set up just like little credit unions or whatever. Well, even credit unions are like FDIC insured. Yeah, I just don't know how you do it. We don't have the system for it, right? We use the system we have. That's the answer. Banks work, right? Generally.
Yes.
They've been working for a while now. It's a pretty solid system.
Yeah.
Just roll it all in.
Ever since we fixed that flaw in the system in 1929.
Yeah. Oh, nothing like that'll ever happen again, huh?
No, I try to explain that to people who don't understand how things work.
What are you referring to?
Like when
that crash.
When Chicken Little type people start talking about, it's obvious another recession's coming, but people start talking about, when the doomsday sayers like, oh, it might be worse than the Great Depression. No, not. It can literally never be worse than the Great Depression again. They put in a fail-safe like people don't understand how the Depression happened. Depression happened because the banks failed.
Right.
Like the banks will not fail again. They put in something to make sure that won't happen again.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have FDIC insured banks.
Yeah. So they don't lose all of their money. So people don't lose all of their money.
It's not going to be pretty, but it's not going to be people jumping out of skyscrapers.
We're going to be back in bread lines and shit.
Right.
Like
Jimmy Stewart's not going to bust in and be like, I don't have your money.
Your money's in Tom's house.
Yeah.
Old people,
Fred's house.
Yeah. Old people get that joke. There's like people over 45 are laughing right now.
Dad jokes.
That's right.
Demo.
That's right. That was the Depression when that was happening. That was the day that the Depression happened.
Yeah.
When the run on the Bailey Savings and Loan. It was the run on the banks when everyone was running to the bank.
Yeah. Yep. Well, if we're going to get a recession, can we at least get lower weed prices to see us through?
Well, we are here in Michigan, apparently. I filled up the other day for $4.55. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Not my weed pen.
Yeah.
My gas tank.
Yeah, all right. All right, well, I think that's it for this week.
All right. Well, follow us on social media, on Twitter at the Weedsman420. You can like us on Facebook. You can go to ChristopherMedia.net, hit the PayPal button, hit the Amazon banner if you want to help us out. Oh, by the time this comes out, it won't matter. Today's Prime Day. Tomorrow's Prime Day. Actually get some money to throw around this year. I should buy something stupid just because it's on sale. And if you do that, click through the Amazon banner on ChristopherMedia.net, and wherever you listen to us, Spotify, Apple, Google, rate and review. Although people have actually contacted me and said, trying to rate you and review on Google, but I can't because they don't do that. Like, well,
oh, well, fuck you, Google.
Right. Well, not in general, because they run the planet.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at Bezos. No one's looking at fucking. Well, it ain't Larry and Sergey anymore. It's whoever's some Indian guy.
Yeah.
But wherever you listen to us, rate us, review us. That's how you help people find us. Please, thank you. 1 to 5 stars. We take our lumps. We also like to hear when they're doing well. So, yeah, do that for us, please. And also, stay high.
Stay high.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.